Welcome to Promote Profit Publish. I'm your host, Juliet Clark, and today is our monthly training. So Gina Hussar, our guest, has slides. So if you're someone who wants to follow along on slides, we encourage you to go over to our YouTube channel and follow along there. Otherwise, you can just listen, but I think you're going to get a lot out of today because Gina has just beautiful, glossy branding stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce her. Gina Hussar is here to help with your creative and visionary entrepreneurs build and rock their passion-fueled businesses. The best way that we can describe what Gina does is think Sex in the Mid City meets Oprah meets Steve Jobs. Because building your dream business and brand should be fun and nurturing experience in which you extract the gold from within, your unique value, and blend it in cocktail style with powerful messaging and business strategy that aligns with your vision, not the vision of all the people who send you emails and product pitches, but your big, beautiful, oh my God, I can't believe this is my life vision. She's a published author, international published magazine writer, certified law of attraction and business coach, total book nerd. I mean, look at her. Could you even imagine she's a book nerd now? Mama three who geeks out, finding the exact words that perfectly capture your brand and set you center stage with a big old neon spotlight. There's a lot of bullshit out there, a lot of six-figure promises that are well-meaning but missing the key ingredient to freedom and success recipe, and that is you. So Gina, and you can tell she writes great copy because she wrote her own bio.
You actually did that. My assistant actually wrote that, but it makes me sound great. I hope I can live up
Well,
to it.
it does. And full transparency, Gina actually wrote the copy on my super brand site, which I know I need a rebrand, but I love what she wrote. So I'm just so hesitant to change it all up. So Gina, take it away.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you all for being here. I'm going to be sharing my screen. And Juliet, is the chat enabled so people can ask questions
Yeah,
if
the
they...
chat is enabled, and Chris usually watches that for us.
Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Cool. Okay. So today we're going to talk about big brand secrets you can steal for yourselves. I've had the pleasure of working as a copywriter and creative brand strategist for 20 years now, and I've worked in multiple industries, everybody from solopreneurs to the legal industry to IT and cybersecurity. Gosh, you name it. So Saks Fifth Avenue. So a lot of what they do is very much applicable to entrepreneurs, authors, speakers, coaches, and they've already spent the money. They've already done the market research. They know what works and what doesn't. So we'd be crazy to not take a leaf from their book and apply it to our own businesses. So the first question that I always tell my clients to ask when you're thinking about your brand and your messaging is, what problem do you solve that a Google search can't? There's so much free content available between Google and YouTube. You've got to differentiate yourself, right? So what do you give that the competitors who pop up in the Google search aren't giving? And I'm going to give you an example, and I'm going to move through this pretty quickly. So please feel free to leave questions in the chat, slow me down. I want to make sure we get through this. So this was a client of mine named Wilma who was a financial planner, and she came across a benefit for veterans that would help them save some money, but it was extremely complex. Okay. They could Google the benefit and get all the information they needed about it, but it was still extremely time consuming and complex to apply for. So we created an ebook that we offered to veterans for free. It broke down in really easy to understand bullets what this benefit was. And then we went beyond what they could find in the Google search by delivering an offer in which she would apply for the benefit on their behalf. And she did very well with this offer because they wanted it, but they didn't want to do it themselves, right? So that was the human touch that Wilma brought in that Google could not compete with, right? So that's one way you can think about what human element you're bringing to your offers that a Google search can't. Now, If you're an author, your human touch is built in, right? You just want to be sharing behind the scenes stuff about your life. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking they don't want to get personal. You want to get personal. You want to bring in that human element. It's what's going to differentiate you in this crazy AI complex modern world we're living in. And the second question you want to ask yourself is, what are you really selling? Right? So we know through research and behavioral psychology that people make buying decisions based on three things: time, money, and reputation. Will this save me time? Will it make me money? Will it save my reputation or enhance my reputation? Okay. So in Wilma's case, she was saving them time and making them money by filling out this benefit on their behalf, right? You might be selling something that gives somebody their time back, that repairs a relationship. Whatever it is, know what you're really selling, because it's that human emotional undertone that holds the weight, right? Even if you're selling a tangible product, you're selling it to solve a personal problem. Okay. The tangible thing you're selling sits on top of a human need, right? So even if you're selling weight loss supplements, what you're selling is longevity. What you're selling is the chance for somebody to live a longer life and be with their family, right? So when you're thinking about your messaging, you don't want to be listing features and benefits and logistical things and how many ounces they're getting or how many calls they get with you, right? You want to be focused on those human elements: time, money, love, reputation, stress, those kinds of human personal problems that your offer ultimately solves. Okay. So to wrap up, you're always selling a solution to a personal problem. I want to keep repeating that. Even if you're a physical product or a business coach, what you're selling is to solve or present a personal problem. I hope that makes sense. Okay. All right. So your brand, contrary to popular belief, is not your name and your logo and your color palette, right? It is a distinct identity in the perception of the consumer, formed by the emotional experience people have when they engage with you, right? So a lot of times entrepreneurs are sort of tricked into thinking that their brand is what color their website is, right? Or their logo or their name. And that's just not the case. The brand is a feeling. It's a feeling you cultivate within your audience. And that's so important. Whoops. There we go. So the first secret that we can steal from big brands is that they focus on emotional over transactional. So even though money's exchanging hands, we're always focused on the emotional payoff for the audience, right? Human behavior has not changed in centuries. People want to be entertained, moved, taken care of, reassured, right? That hasn't changed in centuries. So we do that by creating a compelling customer journey. And that journey starts from the moment they become aware of you, all through the length of their interaction with you. Okay. So the customer journey is ultimately how people feel when they experience your brand. And it's the number one predictor of whether or not they will buy from you. You can have the best price. You can have a fancier website than your competitor, but how they feel experiencing you is going to be the ultimate factor in their buying behavior.
Hold it, Gina, can I just interject for a minute? So, are you talking about, I don't know how many of you guys saw, remember the old Budweiser commercial they used to do at Christmas time with the horses and the puppies? Not sure they ever actually sold beer, but didn't they make you feel warm and fuzzy?
Yes. Yes, that's exactly the point. And we're going to get to that. Thank you for that. That's exactly what we mean is it didn't even matter if they showed a beer can, right? They evoked a feeling, and nobody does this better than Disney World. Okay. Disney World has spent billions and billions of dollars perfecting the customer journey. So let's steal from their book a little bit. Here's a picture of my kids on our way to Disney. They're much, much older and bossier now, but this was when they were cute. So this is how kids see Disney, right? This is how parents see Disney, right? Just money out the door, right? But what Disney knows is that if they can get you to feel something, you will buy, right? So you'll notice their commercials, like Juliet was just talking about. They spend billions of dollars on these high-tech rides and special effects, but their commercials are families, children, engagements in front of the castle, romantic couples walking hand in hand, right? It's life, once in a lifetime memories, right? And they do it so well that when you go there, you find yourself justifying the purchase of a $30 lollipop that looks like Cinderella's head because they've made you feel something. You've bought into, well, this isn't a once in a lifetime experience for my kids. They've done their job, right? They've tapped into those core emotions so much that they've made your emotions forget about your transactions. And they do that brilliantly, right? Doesn't matter how much they raise their prices, it's packed month after month, year after year, because they do this so well. So part of the customer journey is feeling seen, appreciated, a sense of belonging. Now, one of the ways you can do that is to customize. So if you download the Disney app, everything is customized. Hello, Gina. Are you ready to make some magic, right? So there's easy ways we can do that by calling your audience by their first name, creating customized experiences for them, asking them their birthday so that you send something out on their birthday, right? Those are all things that create customer loyalty and become associated with your brand, right? If you can surprise and delight people, they're going to be happy to purchase from you. They're going to tell their friends. They're going to stay loyal. Okay. Now, here's a small business example of that. There's a company called Mythology Candle Company that I absolutely love. The candles are pricey. They're $40 to $50 a pop. I actually have one right here. And the reason I love them is because they've got the customer journey down. They, as you can see, in case it's too small to read, you get this candle. It might be called The Cottage in the Woods, right? And the mood is described as frayed scrolls, ancient tomes, dimly lit laboratory. The alchemist brews his next magical potion, right? Every candle comes with a story. When you get the candle, it comes with a beautiful postcard that tells you tips for lighting, rituals you can do with it. So you feel like you're getting so much more than a candle. You're getting a story. You're being invited into this world. You're getting this little added gift of a ritual card that you can do with it. It's a tiny thing that brings that surprise and delight experience to this buying practice. So that's a really good example of a way to do that. Now, I just worked with a company called Big Red Media. They own MSP Success. It's a $50 million cybersecurity company. And these are some of the things that you could do if you were in cybersecurity, for instance. You might send your audience a portable charger or a webcam cover, right? That's on-brand ways to surprise and delight that get people thinking about your brand. You might send a newsletter every month. I called it Hack Attacks in this example. That just is a little bit of a service upsell where you're giving them tips every month for them to stay safe, okay? You can think about things that relate to your brand that will be like anchors in the mind of your audience. It doesn't have to be expensive. It can even be something digital where you don't have to spend any money at all, okay? I had a client once who asked everybody's birthday when they opted in, and every week they would get a digital automated astrology reading or horoscope reading. It was something people loved, and it was easy, and it was free for her to do. Okay. So that customer journey is super important. You never want to forget that every touch point is a chance for you to reinforce your brand. And, you know, for example, let's say somebody buys from you and you have a contract. Let's say you're a coach and you have a contract. You might have this gorgeous brand, and when they get to the contract, it's black and white, legal, serious, right? That's a chance for you to reinforce your brand. Maybe the contract comes as a beautiful PDF that's in your brand colors, right? You've got to be thinking about every time they experience your brand, even those sort of legal, administrative things, you can reinforce that customer experience. Okay, secret number 2, big brands do not market to a demographic, okay? This is something that has shifted a little bit, right? Like years ago, it was create your perfect avatar. How old are they, right? What do they look like? Where do they live? How much money do they make? Okay. That is not as important as marketing to a consciousness, right? You want to market to a set of beliefs, a set of fears, a set of desires, right? Because I'm looking just on this call, right? We are all different, right? We all live in different places. We're all different ages. We're all, if we just went by demographic, somebody might miss out on us, right? But we all might share the same goals, the same dreams, the same challenges. So you want to make sure you're marketing to a consciousness. And one of the ways that big brands do that, Nike, okay? Now, they don't come right out and say, if you're not wearing Nike, you're a lazy couch potato, right? But there is a vibe, a consciousness tied to this logo and this message of just do it, right? Just do it. It's a phrase that implies stop making excuses, get off the couch, go work out, go accomplish your goal, right? So that's a consciousness that they're marketing to. They're marketing to people who want to see themselves as go-getters, right? And I'm going to give you a second example. This is a small business in the town I live in. A plumber. It says, don't sleep with a drip, call a plumber, right? Everybody loves this brand. Now, when you're marketing to a consciousness, what you want to do is build in what's called a binary choice. And that binary choice should be extremely obvious. You're either this kind of person or you're that kind of person, right? So for Nike, when they're marketing to that just do it consciousness, are you a go-getter or are you someone who doesn't buy Nike and just really doesn't care, right? They're not coming right out and saying that, right? But it's implied. Don't sleep with a drip tonight. Are you the kind of person who's going to get it taken care of? Or are you the kind of person who's just going to listen to it drip night after night, right? So this is such a subtle behavioral psychology thing, but nobody wants to be in that other group. We all want to think of ourselves as better, right? Same with, I wish I could think of the cybersecurity one we did. Don't let the hackers have the last word, right? Are you going to be the person who leaves yourself vulnerable, or are you going to stick it to those hackers and protect yourself? So even though the message doesn't come right out and say those things, it's implied. There's a choice. You can be this or you can be that. When you make the decision to buy from our brand, you're this. You're over in the A group, right? So think of ways you can create that binary choice in your own brand. And when we're done here, if there's time, you can ask questions, we can look at some stuff and see how we can do that specifically.
So Gina, can I interrupt you for a minute? So you're really looking at the psychographics, because that's probably one of my biggest complaints when I talk about building your avatar is everybody stops at demographics and that's the least important of them.
Absolutely. Yep. Psychographics. Yep. That it is about the subconscious fears, desires, all those psychographic things are ultimately what influences purchasing decisions. Okay. Number 3, big brands create a common enemy. Now, this sounds harsher than it is, but what it's doing is establishing resonance with your audience in a way that says, hey, you and I are on the same team. I get you, right? Now, I'm going to give an example that can be a bit triggering, but I'm giving it because, like it or not, it was smart branding. Okay. Now, Trump did make America great again. Okay. Like him or not, he had a brilliant marketing team behind him. Okay. So what he did was created a common enemy, and much to the dismay of a lot of us, it worked. He had no political experience. So he knew he was never going to win the election going toe to toe with an opponent who had been in politics for years. So what he did was he created a common enemy. Instead of Republican versus Democrat, it was us against the government, right? That's what he did. Other people have ruined this country. We are going to take it back, right? He created this common enemy, this unspoken common enemy. I'm one of you. I'm not a politician, so you can trust me. They ruined it. We're going to get it back. He created that common enemy. Now, here's an example of somebody in my town, a lawyer, very popular. He is by far the most well-known lawyer in our city. And his brand is there's never a fee unless we get money for you. He always points, people point at him when they see him in the street. Now, what he did here was he created a brilliant common enemy in every other competitor, right? He tapped into the common perception people have that lawyers are greedy swindlers. He's saying, I'm not like the other lawyers. You don't pay me anything unless I get money for you. Okay, so be thinking about the common enemy your brand has. Who's the common enemy between you and your audience? Now, it can be something intangible, right? I think of an example. Okay, so I have a client who is a very, very successful relationship coach. And she has done extremely well teaching women how to build their online dating profiles and date in the modern world. Okay. This enemy she sort of created, this common enemy, is it's us against technology, right? It's not like it used to be. You're probably not going to meet a guy through your parents or at the local grocery store, right? We have to take control of this, right? Online dating's here to stay. Here's how you navigate it. Here's how you get the best of it, right? And she's made a lot of money doing that. That was a great common enemy. People fear technology. They don't like it. Her avatar is women over 40 looking for love. So a lot of us just can't stand how things are today with the AI and all the crazy online stuff you have to navigate. So she did very well creating that common enemy. Okay. Secret number 4, big brands use the power of paradox. And this is so, so powerful. This is one of my favorite things to do because it allows us to tap into the layers of ourselves. Okay. Most of us aren't just one thing. And I'm going to say something that's a little bit controversial, but I will explain it. One of the things that drives me nuts in normal, typical branding and marketing advice is to niche down. You got to have a niche. You got to be one thing, and you got to. Now, while that's important, most people are not one thing, right? And if you can find the paradoxes within you and leverage them, you actually become a category of one, and you've niched naturally. And I'm going to explain what I mean. Okay. Your paradox combines things that seem contradictory and makes them a strength, or it leverages something that could be seen as a negative into a positive. And I'm going to give you examples of each. Nerd fitness. Okay. This brand blew up, and this is their mission. We are a group of nerds dedicated to bringing you trustworthy information on creating long-term fitness results. Okay. You don't typically think of nerdy guys as buff, muscular men, right? It's not something you would typically associate, right? But that's where this power of the paradox comes in. They naturally niched. They took two things about them, their passion for fitness and the fact that they considered themselves nerds, and they created a micro niche that did very, very well. They also, whether they did it intentionally or not, created a built-in common enemy, right? Nerds against meatheads, right? You don't have to be like the meatheads to feel fit, to live a long life, to be healthy, right? They created a space where nerdy guys can go and work out and get healthy and not feel intimidated by the normal gym rat type of people. That's kind of their vibe here. So here's another example. College hunks hauling junk. Okay. So again, you wouldn't typically think of good-looking college guys and garbage in the same sentence, right? But these guys had an idea. They were good looking, they were strong, they needed money, and they turned this into a national brand. Now, the other paradox we talked about is, well, before I go on, this is one thing you want to think about is what opposing worlds do you or your audience inhabit? Okay. What opposing desires might feel unattainable to them that you can be the symbol of, right? That you can show actually works. For me, my paradox is that I am extremely spiritual. I'm a certified healer and all stuff, and I'm extremely strategic. I have certifications in both worlds, and I used to think that that was a problem. I used to think that that meant I wasn't niching down enough. And now I know that that paradox of being spiritual and strategic is actually my unique differentiator. Okay. So the second paradox is turning a fault or a perceived fault into a competitive edge. Okay. Jägermeister. Years ago, when Jägermeister hit the market, it tasted absolutely terrible, but a lot of money had already gone into production, so they had to figure it out, and they did. It was described as tasting like cough medicine mixed with battery acid. That's what Jägermeister tastes like if you haven't tasted it. No one goes to dinner and orders Jägermeister to drink, right? You do a shot of Jägermeister when you're already drunk or someone dares you to, right? So they took their horrible taste and they turned it into a battle cry, a group experience, right? When you order a shot of Jaeger, you aren't ordering a drink, you are ordering camaraderie, right? Not only that, but move this down. Oh, my computer's freezing. Notice there's a built-in binary choice. Can you handle a shot of Jägermeister? Are you this kind of person or are you that kind of person? Right? So they took this thing that could have bankrupted them and they made it a dare. They made it a challenge. Is it a Jägermeister night? Can you handle it? Right? So that was brilliant. Another example. Come in and try the worst drip coffee one guy on Yelp ever had in his whole life. Okay. So this was a small business, a coffee shop, and somebody left them a bad review. And rather than panicking, they put this sign outside of their coffee shop. It was funny. It evoked curiosity. People actually wanted to see how bad this coffee was, that somebody had to leave a terrible review about it. And my guess is they sold quite a bit of that terrible coffee just because they leveraged what could have been seen as a negative into a positive. And the last one, we sell beer because no great story ever started with someone eating a salad. Okay. So maybe your negative is that you have a very small team or you're a very small business, right? But maybe the positive is that means you always answer the phone. There's extreme personal attention, right? Or maybe your perceived fault is that you don't advertise. You can leverage that by saying, we don't spend our time dreaming up gimmicks. We spend our time on you, right? So every single person listening to this, every single person that's here, myself included, we have these things about ourselves or a business that we perceive as less than, that we think aren't good enough, that we think could be better, that we think are not as good as the competition. Part of your branding is learning to leverage those things into positives, right? It's learning to lean way in to the things you think you need to change about yourself or your brand. Because when you do that, it creates natural niching. It's extremely powerful. Okay. I'm moving through this fast because I want to make sure there's time for questions at the end and to review anything you guys want to review. Okay. Secret number 5, big brands remember that no matter what they're selling to humans. So I love this example. Can you hear me now? Does everybody remember this commercial? Thumbs up if you remember it. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Right. Wireless communication is not inherently funny, right? It's boring, right? But what Verizon did was they tapped into a universal frustration. They remembered that they were selling to humans who are dramatically angry if we lose cell reception, right? We've all been there, driving in a bad area, frustrated when we lose a call, and they capitalized on that, right? Or how many times have you called a company and you can't get a human and you're stuck yelling, representative, representative, I just want to talk to a human, right? They have done a great job of tapping into things that are universally human, universally true. We all hate losing cell reception, right? Here's another example. The Gecko, okay? So a fun fact is that the Screen Actors Guild went on strike in 1998, and if they had not, the Gecko would not exist, okay? The Gecko became a thing because there were no actors to hire. They were all on strike. So Geico decided to sprinkle in humanity to a very boring thing like insurance. They gave the Geico a voice, an accent. They gave him feelings of inadequacy. They gave him a fully actualized personality, and now it's a household name, right? So their brand, their product is a fairly serious, boring thing, insurance. But they remembered that they're selling that insurance to humans, right? You're insuring cars that your children drive and you want to keep them safe, and you like they're tapping into all those things we sit in bed and worry about at night. And then they added a human element with this guy. Very smart. Okay. So here's a summary. Oops, I have a little typo there. It's not 6, it's 5. You're not a logo, you are an experience, and you create your brand experience with ongoing customer journeys that make them feel surprised and delighted. You do not market to an avatar based on demographic, but to a consciousness. Creating a common enemy and a binary choice. Using the power of paradox and leveraging negatives into positives. And remember that you are selling to humans, and humans forever and always want to be moved, surprised, delighted, entertained, and understood, right? So I moved through that quickly. I'm happy to provide these slides for you, but I wanted to make sure we had enough time on the back end here, Juliet, so that if anybody has questions or wants to screen share their own stuff for some guidance, we have time to do that.
Oh, that's a great idea. Well, thank you, Gina. You know what? I do want to point out to you guys, you still need to do that demographic because it probably is going to formulate how you communicate. So, we've got a lot of older people on here. We don't like getting text over and over and over. So you still need to do that work. It's just not the most important part of it. Because there is that younger generation. If your demographic is, what would you say, Gina, 25 to 45? Probably
Good.
text is okay. If they're
Yeah.
above 55, we don't like getting texts all day. Just email us and we'll get to you when we can. Because that's the way we were raised. So you still need to do that work, but what she talked about was probably the most important part of it
Well, and
today.
that's true, Juliet. And what I'm seeing now, what we're doing now with a lot of my clients is we're giving a choice.
Mhm.
So they can choose how do you want to be communicated with by text or by email, even taking into consideration learning behaviors. So
Mhm.
I hate watching videos because
Mhm.
often by the time I have to do that, it's night and I'm sleeping beside someone who doesn't want to hear the video. And so I like to read. So I always appreciate when somebody has a video and it says download the transcript of the video underneath, right? So giving people choices these days is important too, because we have no patience anymore as a society. If this isn't being delivered in a way that's comfortable, easy, convenient for me, bye. I'm just going to X out, right? I don't like videos that don't show how long they are. Bye. I don't have time. I need to know, can I consume this in the next 10 minutes? So, really be thinking about, again, those universal things that drive people crazy. I don't like when people don't list prices. That's a personal preference to me. I don't want to watch your hour-long video only to find out you're out of my budget,
Mhm.
right? So this goes against a lot of advice. No, you've got to create tension. No, don't tell them how much it is. I am going to be the voice of controversy and say that's a bunch of BS. It insults the intelligence of the audience. It disrespects their time. I've been doing this a lot of years and I've been very successful at it. And I don't follow any of those rules because I'm a busy mom. I know what annoys me, and I try to always think about what might annoy you and to make sure that we're not doing that. So I
Yeah.
hope that was helpful.
Yeah, that was a great point. When I chose my podcast company, one of the reasons I did is because it reached all the three learning modalities. And I mean, this is a training today, but if you listen to my podcast, it's always a learning, or it's meant to be a learning experience. So, do you, and just to what Gina said, that YouTube video that somebody wants you to watch, I'll pop earbuds in and listen to it, but
Mhm.
you're probably never gonna catch me watching a whole video. I just don't have time.
Right.
So it is important to have, that ability to read, that ability, which is great because there are a lot of transcription programs out there that'll just transcribe it for you. So reading, what is it, audio and video, so visual, kinesthetic, and
Yes.
all that. And
Yeah.
Kristen, she's a school teacher, or she was a school
Yeah.
teacher.
Yeah. And you know what? People are savvy. Customers are savvier than they've ever been. So, and I blend branding and marketing together. It's holistic. It has to be. But you'll get a lot of make sure you put in urgency. That's true. Put in urgency, but make sure it's authentic urgency. Like
Right.
when I see people telling me there's only 2 spots left on a webinar, no, there's not. We all know there's not 2 spots left on your webinar. When I see that, I instantly lose interest in someone, right? So there are ways to create genuine urgency. We just did this with my client, Jackie just launched her book. We hit bestseller. I'm super happy for her. Our urgency was obviously there's no limited amount of Kindles, right? So our urgency was if you buy it today, it's 99 cents. Tomorrow it's going up to 15 bucks, right? And that was genuine. That was true. We actually did that, right? So we could do that with integrity and it worked. So
So I want to mention that things change as well, because Gina, you'll remember when we were back working for the inner circle, everybody did a webinar where at the end it had the $40,000 close. You're gonna get XYZ bonus, but it's going to be $2,000 today. A bunch of us were on a panel a couple years ago, and somebody did a close like that, and we literally all got caught on video rolling our eyes going, oh my gosh, that is so 2016,
yeah.
17.
And then Juliet and I left the room and went and got cupcakes.
Right.
We did. We pieced
Right,
out.
in Newport Beach, sprinkles. You guys have any questions?
No
Sandy.
question.
Sandy, do you have questions? I'm gonna put her on the
My
spot here.
Hey, oh my gosh, thank you so much, Gina, for your information. It's just so much food for my brain. I don't know if I have a question as much as I have perhaps a statement of my book. And obviously, Juliet, I have a niche market. I'm a cancer survivor,
Mm,
stage 4, and I wrote a book, and I want to go beyond the book into creating a peace, like the word you used, longevity, peace of mind through the arduous nature of treatments of all sorts. And it's
mm.
like trying to get into that bubble and wondering how. I think it's just a big statement. It's a lot of great information, and it's just sort of digesting how, even in a niche market where it's specific, so you would think, okay, maybe it's a little bit easier because I'm going into a niche, it's cancer, but it's like, gosh, how to differentiate and there was a question there about opposing desires. Like, how do I kind of take secret number 4, for example, and put it into my world? Trying to find sort of the commonalities there.
Wait,
Yeah,
wait, hold on a
go ahead.
second. The subtitle of your book is Why or Why Not? So haven't you done
Exactly.
that already?
Yes, yes, I know and I know that part, but it's like going beyond that, you know what I'm saying? Um I'm trying to expand more on that.
Hmm.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Juliet. It's true.
yeah. I have a friend going through this right now, and God bless you. Like it's when it's something so personal,
Mhm.
and it takes courage to do this, but I think you've got it.
Mhm.
You almost have to let the disruptive thoughts win. You
Mhm.
know, you almost the things you think you shouldn't say out loud are the very things you should say out loud.
That,
Mm.
Because what,
that's her whole book, Gina. It's called Cancer Ramblings.
yeah, yeah. Um,
Juliet, am I complicating things? It's like
No,
it's right there. But
no.
then it's trying to get that to the masses, because it's so clear. Um,
yeah.
how can we honestly make the journey a lot more pleasant, even though the obvious route is to just be in pain and to just hate the journey. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think my friend that is going through this is he has the best outlook, and he named his tumor Carl, and
Ah,
he does YouTube videos with about Carl. Like, it's totally like it's so disruptive, and people are watching it, and he doesn't have a business. He's just a person, he's just a person. But it's like the fun side of cancer, and people are like, what? Right? Like it's so out of pocket. What are you doing now to market?
oh my gosh, working thank you, Juliet, with YouTube, TikTok, trying to do Instagram, all the social media channels, even on LinkedIn, connecting with organizations on there, cancer groups, Cancer Society. It's a lot. It's exciting and overwhelming at the same time, but really just um I want to be a kernel of light for people, with through the words, through the work, because it is obviously a dark space, but it doesn't have to be. Why do
Mhm.
we have to subscribe to that? I personally, I don't know. I feel like cancer is the new cavity. 1 in 2 people are going to get cancer. So how do we just, you know what I mean? Like, not to make light of the experience, but trying to find light can make the experience a lot better, right? Like perspective in life, period, in anything you're going through.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you have a website, everything's already built.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
And
I mean,
she's really coming from this place. She helped someone who was in the hospital with her, and the doctors were just amazed because, she positioned it to this person as life is a journey. This is part of the journey. You can whine about it, or you can flip it and say, well, why not? This is part of who I'm going to be in the future.
yeah,
So really flipping that over into a different mindset, because I can see how you would downward spiral unless you caught yourself and said, okay, why not? I'm going to embrace it.
Yeah. Why ruminate
absolutely.
questions you're never going to get an answer to? I'm never going to know exactly why I got my cancer. It's random, it's insane, it's absurd. So
Yeah.
forget those answers are never going to come. Just come into the solution part, the acceptance that if you can take this, you can take on anything.
Right. Is your book your main offer?
My, I, yeah, yeah, I would
Right
say
now.
right now at the moment. Hoping to expand upon with some, simple, clear, concise course to guide people, simple tools, working on that. But right now, it's the book is the launching pad. Um,
Yeah.
that makes me feel legitimate in my soul, like, yeah, to share the
Yeah.
message.
Well,
Um,
there's also, she is a yoga instructor, so some of her videos are how do you calm the anxiety. So she's doing some
Yeah.
other things that are helpful, holistic tools.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, I would have to look at it. Like like sharing excerpts from the book. But I want to say this. One of the things that I work very intuitively, and one of the things that has worked for me is doing things the opposite of what everybody says you're supposed to be doing. So um,
Hmm.
if you have a feeling like I should send this person a book, right? I should send this celebrity a book. If you know of a celebrity who, has been through it, don't ask for anything. It's just, hey, I went through it too. I wrote this book. I thought you might like it. Leave it at that, right? Like do those little like sort of God nudges that are like, do this, do this. I would encourage you to move forward with any of that. Um, if you have digital versions of your book, you can offer that to, organizations that work with women who have cancer. Like there's just so many ways outside of social media marketing and things like that where
Mm.
I mean, those are the things that have worked for me, Sandy. Like I've never run an ad in my life. I've never had a web
Wow.
in my life. I just go with my gut. I reach out to people. I'm in groups. Like I'm sure
Hmm.
you're in groups. I don't market myself, but if somebody asks a question, I I answer it. I bring my gift and I answer it. We live in a society where if you move somebody with your answer, the first thing they're going to do is click on your profile, Google you, right? So it's sort of this organic growth just by giving,
Yes.
right? So I would just encourage you. I know it's tough to sort of detach from I need to sell this many copies or I need to, and just really go with your gut and serve. And, if you get a hunch that you should send it to a certain person, send it and just,
Yes.
yeah, see where it goes.
I love that. I love that so much. Thank you.
Yeah. And I was
Welcome. Good luck with everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's actually sending a copy. Someone just came out with a cancer diagnosis.
Yes.
And Sandy's an actress as well, so she does have access to other
Yeah.
celebrities. But we're sending him a book. He presented, he
Perfect.
said, "This is how I found out that I got cancer, and it's stage 4, just like hers, same thing." So
Yeah.
that's one of the first things
Yeah.
she's already reached out to see if she can make a connection.
Yep.
Yes.
That's perfect.
Thank you, Gina. My gosh. Thank you. And Juliet, it's
Welcome.
where would we be without the collaborative nature, of teamwork. So thank you for that. Really, it's powerful. The point is to serve.
Okay, no more questions. Gina, thank you. Where
You.
can they find you if they want to talk to you more or engage your services?
My site is, let me put it in the chat. This is my website, but I would encourage you to not reach out there because I miss things there. You can look at it, but I would encourage you to email me directly or you can send a text. It is me answering, not my team. And we can chat about what you have going on.
Well, thank you. Thank you
Oh,
so
Dorothy,
much.
does
Oh,
Dorothy have a
Dorothy?
question?
Yes, I was just wondering, I just wanted to say, I said, this is so impressive because I said, just yesterday, I was thinking there was too many things on my website about me and that it was too many, this and that. But like you said, it's all a part of me and
Yeah.
who makes me
Yeah,
who I am. So
yeah,
I'm happy about that now. I said with that thought.
Yeah.
yes,
This
So
is
yeah,
grandma,
you.
she's Grandma Beasley, and so she does cooking, she teaches, she has ranches, she teaches this younger generation that's fleeing the cities how to actually thrive in, your new house in Montana when you
Oh,
never
wow. That's awesome. That's awesome.
got a great platform. All right. You guys, I just want to remind you, next month's training is Gretchen Heido. She is a master coach who is fabulous at teaching coaches how to get over that six-figure hump in their income. And I know when you're first starting out, that's really, really hard. So she's going to be teaching you the art of storytelling for enrollment. So how to tell stories when you close. And I know all of you, I use that and you're sick of hearing my stories, but she's going to teach you how to do it. So you can sign up for that at bamagtraining.com. For those of you on the call, I would wait until tomorrow so I can get it changed out from Gina to her. And any last before we go?
The only thing I'll say is that from now until the end of the year, we're doing free brand analysis. So if you don't have to do it by the end of the year, but if you book it by the end of the year, I'll just take a look at your website and your sort of end-to-end experience, and we'll take a look at where any customer journey gaps are so that you can get those fixed and start off 2025 strong. And you can email me directly if you're interested in that.
Okay, fantastic. All right, you guys, thank you so much. And Gina, thank you as well.
Thank you for having me. Nice to meet everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.